That's okay. These things happen.
Yeah. Okay. Please, how
Yes, I could hear you. Could you hear me?
okay. As God has given to man is think what makes us special than of significance. How do we be able to and one of needed our desires is to use the power. Albert Einstein once said, he said that education is aimed to train the mind, not to obey. Education is designed to train not to obey. How true is this assertion? And with me to handle this topic is our Honorable Pastor Tony, all the way from Canada. He has been with us on series of programs. And today, historian, he's a librarian, and author of several articles that has shaped the life of many countries, including Russia. So, Pastor Tony, thank you for your time and your share with us. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Apostle Aaron. When you first suggested the topic, how critical thinking can become a lifestyle, I had to do a lot of thinking about this. What does it mean to permanently be a critical thinker? Now, let's get something straight. When we talk about critical thinking, we have to first define it. Critical thinking is our ability to find information on a wide range of topics, but then to evaluate that information. Is this information reliable? Is it trustworthy? Is it current? Is it comprehensive? And when we evaluate our information, then we can make what are called informed decisions. We're not just, say, going with our gut or how we feel at the moment, but rather we have our knowledge base and our experience to help us make our decisions. These could be decisions about what to study at school, what career to go into, how to determine your closest relationships, when to engage in a discussion, and when not to engage in a discussion. Because as critical thinkers, we always have to have in our mind, okay, is this discussion going to raise people's understanding to a new level? Now, we say critical thinking. It is not the same as people who are always making negative comments about everything. We tend to call them knockers or downers because whatever they have to say is negative. They are under an illusion that they're realists and they're just calling things as they are. They think that, well, I've seen so much garbage over the years that I don't want to sort of, go on perpetuating it. People like that have a way of shutting down discussions. They discourage us from exploring issues. They discourage us from expanding our knowledge base. They're basically people who, their minds are not just closed, they're nailed shut. But they pride themselves on being realistic. What they really do is they come across as cynical, radiating negativity, and to get right down to it, they are toxic.
Okay, so in other words, critical thinking is not something that comes natural to us, because in the quest of trying to think, sometimes we might be using it wrongly to think more pessimistic.
We have to learn it. How we learn it, though, opens up a whole range of questions, Apostle Aaron. I've had people saying, well, can't you show me a book on how to think critically? And my usual comment is, I learned to think critically by doing it. You do it again and again and again, and on a daily basis. One of the things that helps us to become critical thinkers is if we are curious. Human beings are naturally curious. They want to know about things, how things work, why things happen. Also, as human beings, we're trying to make sense out of our life experience. Why are things going this way for me? Why are things not going this way? Am I doing something wrong? Am I doing something right? The way to answer our questions is through critical thinking. Now, how do I do my critical thinking? I do it on several levels, Apostle Aaron. Since a lot of my work involves writing academic articles, this requires me to do an awful lot of research. I have to be able to know how to find articles and books on the subject, which means I have to have very good searching skills. What are the proper terms that I should be using to find material on a subject? And when I get my materials, I have to go through them and say, okay, is this information reliable? Is it appropriate? One of the first things I do when I get a book on a subject, I first turn to the bibliography at the back of the book. I want to see what materials the author has used. Is the author using all the standard materials on the subject? Is the author using a wide range of materials? And quite often you could spot huge gaps in a bibliography, Apostle Aaron. Okay, which sort of lowers the credibility of the material. If they haven't used the standard treatments of standard materials on the subjects. Once I look at the bibliography, then I could start reading through the book or article.
Okay, so in other words, critical thinking, per what you've said, is first and foremost analyzing information or the problem that you are facing within different systems of thoughts. In other words, comparing different options, weighing
Right.
different options to find out which one best serves the optimum benefits, or which
Exactly.
one will come out to the best outcome if that one is chosen to be implemented. So first and
Correct.
foremost, you have to do with engaging your mind to
You
analyze
have to.
different options available to you at every given point in time. Not just the information comes or you see the thing or the problem exists and you just quickly conclude. No, when you do that, you are not engaging in critical thinking. Critical thinking means the ability to have patience to analyze different materials that consists or pertains to that particular issue that you are seeking to act on. Now, let
You,
me advance. Why is critical thinking important to our lives?
if we don't have critical thinking, we're going to make a lot of bad decisions in our lives.
Okay, so bad decision making.
Bad decisions, we'll have a distorted view of the world. We cannot, without critical thinking, we cannot become global citizens. If you do not have critical thinking skills, you're crippling yourself. You're going to get your information from flawed sources. You're going to have a very distorted view of the world. And because you're seeing things through a distorted lens and using unreliable information, you're going to make a lot of bad decisions.
Okay, so we one of the things you've made clear to us is that the importance of critical thinking is to help us enhance our decision making. That
That's one
decision you
part,
want to
yes,
make, that decision you want to make, that step you want to take in your career, that step you want to take in your education, that step you want to take in your marriage, that step you want to take in your spiritual life. How well informed are you as to what to do? That is
exactly.
where critical thinking comes in. You analyze different materials, take time to take stock of your life and ask yourself where am I currently? Where do I want to go? How do I go there? Or how do I get there? What are the things I need to get there? These are what we are referring to as critical thinking. When you take your
Exactly.
time to use your mind to think about what are the things you need to be able to decision, then you are engaging in critical thinking. It is not
Exactly.
enough to desire that I want to pursue a successful career. What does it take to pursue a successful career? How do you get there? These are the things. So we are saying
Exactly.
that the importance of critical thinking is to enhance decision making. Then you said
Exactly.
you will not be able to become a global citizen. This, in one way or the other, means that you are limiting the options of your life to just your current environments. When you refuse to think critically or to use the mind to analyze information on objective background, you are doing is that you are limiting your space of influence and knowledge to what you already know and what your society or your environment is saying about what life is or what that decision you want to take. and that will limit you to attain the heights you desire to attain in life. So it is important to think beyond our immediate environment. It is important to go for information beyond what we already know. By this, it will help us make informed choices from a global outlook point of view, and we are good
Exactly. And I'm going to
to keep
add one very
progressing.
important part of becoming a critical thinker
Mhm.
is your ability to listen to and understand people of different cultural backgrounds.
Beautiful.
Because there's times I don't like hearing certain points of view, but I have to remind myself, is my environment or who I am preventing me from exploring different views? I am a white male living in North America. Who I am has given me a certain type of privilege in North America. Am I listening to the points of view of women, of people from different racial and ethnic backgrounds? They could see things entirely different from me. They could see my point of view as reinforcing oppression. I have to listen to their views. It's the same thing when you and I have discussions. I have to pay attention to the key concerns that many of my Ghanaian friends express. A lot of them are telling me that certainly critical thinking is a major concern for them because they want to become global citizens. And they know that critical thinking is key to becoming a global citizen. I have to interact in a certain way with my friends and colleagues in Russia. They have a different type of academic dialogue than we have in North America. To
So,
me, it comes across as overly specialized in narrow fields. You don't get a sense of a broader picture. This is why my work tends to be very highly received over there, because I show it in the context of not just Russia's history, but in the context of European history. I could also blend elements of history, political science, and religion in my work to show all the things that shape what happens. So that's the sort of thing that you're always, I have to work on this every day, Apostle Aaron.
great.
In which ways is my own environment limiting me? Uh, the Germans have a term called the Zeitgeist, the spirit of the time. Can this be something that either liberates you or oppresses you? What the overarching spirit of the age is? In many respects, in North America, we're living in a time where critical thinking is despised, where people want quick fix information solutions, or people who are more interested in listening to conspiracy theories, or how people draw most of their information now from social media. This is creating a very bad and dangerous situation because an informed population is the best guarantee for democracy. So whatever we do or think has an impact, just not in our immediate family, but also at school, our place of work, our church, our
Okay.
country, and the broader world.
Great. So that takes
Critical
us to
critical thinking helps us become responsible people
Hmm.
who
Great.
can make an impact on their own lives and on the lives and experiences of other people.
Great. So you've made mention of the ability to listen and observe our environment makes us global citizens. In other words, your ability to observe another person's culture and be able to relate will make you learn and understand much better than thinking that you only want to speak out and tell them what you think you know. So listening and observation is one skill that comes with critical thinking. And then you went
Exactly.
on to mention some of the areas we can apply critical thinking. So you said our school system, the church, the home. Please, you can continue. Which areas can we apply critical thinking in our lives?
Well, certainly in the school setting where you could, if you're an educator, you teach your students how to think critically. The teacher is not an oracle who knows everything. The teacher is continually engaging with the students and learning. I think we did it before. How would a teacher in Ghana, at different stages of the student's education, teach
Critical
the
thinking.
biography of Kwame Nkrumah?
Mm.
You would go at different levels. For the first studies, yes, he's the father of our country. You would then go on to show it at a higher level. This was his work. This was what shaped him. This was what made him who he was. We would go on at an even higher level to look at how much of the Ghana that he created has to still develop. What directions can Ghana go in? How can we Ghanaians use the legacy of Nkrumah to become global citizens?
Great. So by thinking along these thoughts, it's a practical way of engaging in critical thinking.
Correct. And you always
Great.
start by taking people where they're at. Like I said, the example in a school, you would teach, say, a grade 1 class, Kwame Nkrumah is the father of Ghana.
Mm, mm.
Now, if you're at a workplace, okay, from my personal experience, when I worked as a librarian,
Mm-hmm.
since librarians were required to help people find information
Mm,
on a wide range of subjects,
mm.
I became the top expert on government and law in my library,
Great.
finding government and legal information. Most librarians will not go near that subject.
Mm.
They automatically think it's too difficult. I don't, because I had worked as a newspaper reporter before librarianship. This required me
Mm.
to know how to deal with different levels of government. The biggest frustration was trying to teach some of my colleagues how to research government, how to find government and law. They just didn't want to learn it.
Mm.
No matter how many times I offered to give comprehension sessions, management said no. Well, I'm retired now. They don't have anybody to replace me.
Wow.
I mean, I repeatedly offered to train a successor. Same thing with my colleague. She was a leading specialist on finding financial information, which is extremely difficult. Every time she offered to train a successor, the answer was no. So you have a situation where those of us who had been comprehensive in our work and were willing to share our knowledge base with our colleagues, we got shut down. Our bosses didn't think it was that important. Well, I don't know what's happening now in my former place of work. Um, some of my colleagues, former colleagues, have said, we really miss your contribution to the place. I said, well, that's rather unfortunate.
Yeah.
You
Very
know, it's
unfortunate.
really, and just remember, as critical thinkers, we are going to deal with people who just do not want to take their learning to other levels.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
Mm.
However, we do have a way
So, case, is it
of helping people. It
in
comes
that
in the
case?
long run. I
Yes, in
had
that case.
students who came back to me after their first year in university and said, I have to thank you, Tony. I was the only one in my first year class who knew how to use online databases to find information. Thank you for making me learn this.
Beautiful.
I mean, they said, I recognize that research is difficult, but the difficultness is manageable
Mm.
because I know how to use the research tools. Uh, that's one of the best compliments you could get from a student
Exactly. Exactly.
is when they said, you forced me to learn something and you really helped me.
Research.
One girl said it beautifully. She goes,
Mm.
you helped me discover the talents I never thought I had.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing where, like I said, there's also certainly critical thinking in church. I mean, certainly by a sound knowledge of scripture
Mm.
and church tradition, the lived experience of Christians. That is how we apply our critical thinking skills in a church setting.
Mm-hmm.
We set an example to other people
Mm.
by the fact that, you know, look at Apostle Aaron. Why is he able to start, you know, people start asking, look at Apostle Aaron. Why is it when he preaches, he's always taking people to a new level of seeing things and doing things?
Mm.
Because you're not just saying God has a plan for you. You're saying, how are you going to help God? How are you and God going to work together? in carrying out this plan for you.
Mm.
Because when I listen to your preaching, I sort of like, yeah, something I need to learn. I mean, my cousin, who was a success motivator, would always tell people, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail,
Mm.
which is, and I think that's one of the things. I mean, especially since I would have to do a fair amount, like I serve as a mentor for several graduate students
Mm.
in Russia. It's all, of course, done online through Facebook or through WhatsApp or through other platforms.
Yeah, Zoom and nonsense.
I do warn them, just be very cautious. I do tend to be rather strict and severe
Mm.
with my students because I expect high standards from you.
Exactly.
But the thing is that
Can we say that critical thinking is geared towards producing the highest standard? A
yes,
decision making that makes you
we're
produce high.
striving for the highest standards in our decision making. That
Great.
every decision we make has to be an informed choice.
Beautiful.
You're
Okay,
not
so
going into something, oh, this sounds nice. I want to do this. No, you're saying, this is what I want to do.
how do
I
I
have a
do it?
plan for how to do it.
Beautiful.
Here's what I have to study. Here's what I have to know. Here is how I get into the profession.
Mm.
Here is how I will advance in the profession. And above
Mm.
all, how do I make myself stand out from others?
Mm.
We call it developing your personal brand.
Beautiful.
It's not enough just to say, I want to do this,
Mm.
because there's a lot of people who want to do it.
Mm. But only few do it. And
Exactly. I mean,
let,
I
let's let's
would,
advance let's advance further. What are some of the hindrances to critical thinking?
what are some of the what?
Hindrances,
Oh, the
setbacks.
hindrances? The
Yeah.
hindrances could start with you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not willing to learn,
Unwillingness to learn.
to do the required work,
Mm.
like I said, one of my things is I study the cultures of different countries and parts of the world all the time.
Mm.
I still have a long way to go. Uh, if you're not willing to learn, also the other thing is if you're not willing to explore different points of views on the subject. You're shutting your mind down. Uh, the biggest hindrances to critical thinking are the ones that we create ourselves. You will find hindrances among the people that you're engaging yourself with. Uh, I had to make a bit of a painful decision last week about making comments on a friend's commentaries on Facebook. Uh, my friend lives in Russia, and I always have to remind myself when people put commentaries, when Russians put up commentaries on Facebook, it is not what we would consider, how would you say, a civilized discourse. People start making sarcastic remarks, insults. Uh, it's not really for advancing people's level of understanding of the topic. It's more sort of, who could be the most sarcastic, who could ridicule the most. And for me, to engage in this would be a waste of my time. It's not advancing my critical thinking skills. And also, you could tell that people joining in the discussion are not really interested in advancing a better understanding of the topic.